Welcome to Corpse Club, the official podcast of dailydead.com. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jonathan James, and I'm joined today by Derek Anderson and Scott Drebit. After 7 weeks, I think it's 7 weeks, if you've been counting, Crazy. I'm back in the saddle. And
He's back.
I'm back, but super thankful for Scott and Derek and everybody else helping out with hosting and helping out while I was gone for a little bit. Some people probably listening are like, "Oh my God, he's back! It was so much better when he was gone." But no, you're stuck with me. So
don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, I've been sick for a while because I was also gone a little bit before the last 7 weeks because I've been sick for like 2 months straight. So yeah, I had the flu, and then the flu started to go away, and then I went to LA and everything was fine, and then I was leaving LA and everybody was coughing, and I'm like, oh no. And, and then I'm on the flight back home, and, actually my mom was going to pick me up because I hadn't seen her for a while. I'm like, I'm going to stay away from you for a while. So I quarantined myself at the house, and I got pneumonia and I got sick, and it's been fun. And by fun, I mean scary, because we know that, that a lot of people are getting sick out there. So I had to make the difficult choice of, a lot of people out there don't know, they get sick and they don't know if they have corona or they have something else. And, you couldn't get testing weeks and weeks ago. So I talked to the doctor. They're like, stay in. And if it gets worse, go to the hospital. that was the feedback they had for me. So I just had to pick to, I didn't know what I had. I knew I had pneumonia, but I had to stay in and make sure I took care of myself. But I did miss everybody. I missed, spending time on Daily Dead and hanging out with the Corpse Club crew. So this is going to be a bit of a catch-up episode. We're going to talk about some of the things that we've been doing while we've been stuck inside, because, I think as, horror fans, and I don't know how it's been, and I'll find out from Derek and Scott, but for me, horror movies continue to be comfort food for my wife, Christy, and I. And while it may be crazy for, some people out there to imagine that, during all this craziness, you can find comfort in horror movies, it's probably not that weird to a lot of our listeners and a lot of our Daily Dead readers. And I have a feeling it's not too different from what's going on with Derek and Scott. So yeah, I wanted to first talk about some of the movies that maybe we caught up on, because like I said, I was sick, so I was laid up. I didn't have much to do. And, I had this incredible Blu-ray stack, which I never thought I was going to make any progress on. If you heard any past episodes, when I said, I'm going to revisit that was never going to happen. So one of the positives out of being sick was that I actually caught up on quite a few movies. So I'll talk about some of those, and we'll go from there. So I brought the stack with me. I should take a picture because I'm so proud of this, and I'm saving the stack because the longer I'm quarantining myself, I'm confident that this stack will be longer than I can hold on to with both my hands. So I did see the new Scream Factory Blu-ray release of The Curse of the Werewolf with Oliver Reed, and it's been a long time since I've seen that one. But yeah, that one was, I have to say, have you seen it in a while, Scott? Have you seen it recently?
No, not at all.
Oh, it's
been a while.
Yeah, it's interesting because it came out after the 10 Commandments, and I feel like it's paced like the 10 Commandments, where we get this character's entire backstory, and we see his mom before he's born, and it's, the sets are beautiful. The werewolf transformation's beautiful. Some people are like, sacrilege. How could you say this? I mean, I love Hammer movies, so it's not that the movie's older. But like I said, this one, I think maybe it's because the supporting cast isn't as strong, or because the pacing is a little bit slower. But I really did enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I think that's one that you have to meet it halfway. It's not an aggressive movie. It's more of a passive telling of this particular tale. Yeah. In other words, it's It's pretty slow, but Oliver Reed is great, and I think the scenes with the werewolf are some of the most iconic in Hammer history. I think certainly for the whole subgenre of werewolves. I think his appearance as his transformation and appearance as the werewolf is certainly one of the most the earliest ones that I remember really sticking out and being, quite frightening, because even without any makeup on it, as we all know, Oliver Reed was a frightening man.
Yeah. And I think that really, that is what cemented this movie as a classic. And it is kind of what won me over. It was like that transformation, that design is just pretty spectacular and pretty unique, especially compared to, either what we got before it or what we get after it.
Yeah.
I don't think we've still seen anything that kind of, and somebody will probably say there is one, but I don't see one that really kind of was inspired by that directly.
No. Yeah, no, I think maybe even the closest. No, not even the Wolfman remake. Although I think it kind of pays a little homage to that, I guess, in the way, in the time period that it's set and the way he's presented, but the design is quite different. Yeah, so none are popping in my head.
Yeah, so so that was a good one, and then I went from there to I saw The Brain. It was another scrap. I have a lot of Scream Factories, so I saw The Brain, and it's that was I don't know.
It's not as good as Bloody Birthday as far as the Ed Hunt oeuvre goes, but I don't mind it. I don't mind The Brain. Yeah,
it was. I mean, I knew what I was getting into, so and it kind of has David Gale from Reanimator, and he's kind of playing the same role. So I thought that was kind of fun.
How does it rank against The Brain That Wouldn't Die?
It doesn't.
No. Okay. No.
If we're talking brain movies.
No. And even better is The Man with Two Brains. We should do a whole brain episode.
Which funnily enough, I watched that for the first time, I think last year, and it's one that my dad has quoted forever.
Oh, The Man with Two Brains?
Yeah, The Man with Two Brains. And I couldn't believe actually how many like Frankenstein and like old school horror influences there were in that movie. I was very surprised.
That's a movie that just gets better each time you saw it. It kind of confounded a lot of people at the time when it came out. But my God, that movie just sings. The one-liners in that movie are just amazing.
Yeah. It's a good one. So that's probably my favorite Brain movie. That's my.
Did you? And there's another connection right there. Jeffrey Combs is in the scene in the hospital in The Man with Two Brains. It was one of his first parts.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And Steve Martin says, Dr. Hafar says, did you shave the patient? And Jeffrey Combs says, yes, sir. And he just pulls up the sheet, and Steve Martin or the Jeffrey Combs says, it's Valentine's Day. Something like that.
Wow.
Something like that. I hate trying to. I'm one of those guys that tries to repeat what I saw in a movie that's funny, and it never ever comes out funny.
I'm not great with movie quotes, so I know just not to quote them.
Yeah, I wish I could take that advice. I really wish I was smart enough to take that advice.
I only learned from failing again and again and again.
So since you're on a Scream Factory kick, do you have the new My Bloody Valentine?
I do.
And
I haven't gotten to it yet.
Oh my!
I gotta wait till next February, right?
Man?
I mean, well, here's actually what happened. So I have an explanation for this. You're like, of course he does. So Christy and I alternated our movie picks, which still means that half of the picks were me and I didn't pick My Bloody Valentine. But we kind of like alternated. I also wanted to pick movies that I knew that she would like. We were past Valentine's Day by that point. So no, it slipped through. It's definitely been, like I said, a delicate balance. And I guess I will say that, I have I've watched horror movies as comfort food. And so I've watched specific horror movies, but I've also balanced that out with like other movies and TV shows. So like I've seen, Bad Boys for Life, and I saw Bloodshot, and I saw Sonic the Hedgehog. And what else did I see? All of those, like
Tiger King?
No, I didn't see that. Well, when that was the reason. Christy's like, things suck out there. She's like, I don't want to see it. So like, I know all the, like, I've heard everybody talk about it, and it should be something that normally I'd watch, but we're watching more things where we just, we're there together. So it's like, we both have to kind of agree to it, which makes sense.
No, that's fair. But what I like about a show like Tiger King is it's the kind of show that you can watch, like that you do watch with, if you're lucky enough to have, someone to watch it with, is you can talk back and forth while it's going on and discuss theories and everything like that. Like, it's not like watching a movie for the first time, Mm-hmm. You can still carry on a conversation and talk about what's going on screen. It's pretty fascinating. I know a lot of people there were a lot of people who were kind of like turned off by the whole concept of, reveling in this kind of behavior. But I mean, it presents it for what it is. They're all mostly horrible people, except for the ex-convicts who work for the people, who are the real shitheels. You kind of feel sorry for them because, they're just trying to make an honest living. But some of the other, the main folks in Tiger King are, truth is stranger than fiction.
It really is. Yeah. We watched that recently, and it felt like you couldn't write it any more fictional if you wanted to. It just felt like they just took the most absurd plots out of so many different movies and like put it into one thing. But then you realize, oh wait, this is actually going on. So yeah, it is bizarre. And I know there's going to be Kate McKinnon, I believe, is going to play Carol Baskin in a mini series, or there's going to be some type of an adaptation.
Oh my God.
When things get up and running again. So I'm very excited to see like how Hollywood will adapt this and what that will look like. But yeah,
I heard Rob Lowe is playing the main guy.
Joe Exotic.
Yeah.
Oh
Joe
wow,
Exotic.
that's not a role I'd imagine for him.
See, I missed all this news. I saw some fan casting, but I didn't see an announcement. But
yeah,
I missed a good bit.
I'm not the news desk, so
I know,
I'm
that's
just
why.
saying.
Yeah, Derek definitely is.
Well, we generally stay out of true crime for the most part, but at least that's my alibi.
Good save.
Yeah.
Love it.
So while staying in, Derek, we'll jump around a little bit. So have you watched more movies? Have you watched more TV, or have you played more games? I assume I know you've done a little bit of each.
Yeah, I haven't watched as many. I've watched movies, not as many horror movies necessarily, but my friend Zach and I, who we used to do a movie website called Tuesday Movie Men back when we were in college, and we still to this day, like before things shut down, we would still for the last 7 or 8 years go see a movie every Tuesday if we're both available. And so starting a few weeks ago, we started to do that virtually, where we'll just FaceTime and I'll like put the phone on the couch, and then we'll watch the movie and try to sync it up so we're watching it at the same time. And so we've watched, but that's all been non-horror. Like we watched Purple Rain, we watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and then most recently this week was American Ultra, which I hadn't seen, and that one was a little darker, but more action, but very interesting at the whole like sleeper cell kind of like a comedic Bourne Ultimatum in a way. So we've been doing that, and a lot of TV. I think the thing I've been watching the most with my family, who I'm quarantining with, like my parents and then my sister and her brother-in-law, we've just been hanging out a lot anyway, so it kind of makes sense. We've just been watching stuff during this time, and we got CBS All Access like a month free trial for that, and started watching Star Trek Discovery, and watched the entire first 2 seasons. So we're all caught up with that now. So that was kind of like our bread and butter viewing for like the last month, was Star Trek Discovery. And that was really cool. I grew up, like, my dad would watch a lot of like Next Generation, and I've seen a fair amount of the original series just like on MeTV and stuff like that. But this was like the first time I'd watched something beginning to, I guess, so far the end, even though I know they do have a 3rd season coming out. And I've really been enjoying that. There's this couple of like more horror themed episodes too. This kind of one that's reminiscent of Event Horizon. So overall, I
knew what
it.
to say to hook me.
Yeah. So I know some of us like Event Horizon, and others are more less passionate, I guess I could say.
And mine is still as passionate, but
yeah.
One of these days, Scott will get you hooked on Paul W.S. Anderson.
I don't think that'll happen.
One day. With Star Trek, it's, I really liked I liked a lot of the first season of Discovery, and I've been watching Star Trek since I'm a baby. So it's it's definitely near and dear to me. And I had a tough time with season 2, getting past the Klingons with doll hair. And I started watching the first couple episodes, and they just because people complained about the Klingons in season 1 not having hair, and I thought they looked weirder with hair. And I know that that's not really a reason not to watch a show, but it just every time I was trying to watch, something else would always take priority, and then all this craziness happened. I haven't gotten back to it. I did, it's interesting because you were talking about FaceTiming with people, because I think that's been. I think that, things are terrible with, Corona, but I think what's made it a little bit easier on the world is that we do have Zoom and FaceTime, and, we are lucky that we're able to at least, connect with people. And so, so I've, so I'd watch Picard with my mom. We caught up on that. And
oh, nice!
And I had fun with that. It's you could hear in my voice. It was okay. It's as good as I've told a bunch of people already. My friend Adam, he loves the TV show, and I'm like, it's not the TV show. It's it's the quality of the Star Trek Next Generation movies, which should be very telling, right? He was still disappointed, but it really is. If you look at Nemesis and Generations specifically, this is this is a good way to continue the story, because with Nemesis it ended in a way that was come on, we need some closure. So this kind of gave us that. So I was happy to see Patrick Stewart back and some guest stars, and so I was happy for what it was. I wish it was more, but I'm okay compared to what we ended on before.
Is it like the Logan of Star Trek shows?
Ooh.
It depends what you like. I love Logan.
No, I mean in tone or in theme.
No,
you know what I mean?
I don't think so. I mean, there's definitely it definitely carries an M rating or MA rating, because there's swearing, and it definitely pushes it a little bit more, but that's for Star Trek, not compared to anything else. So I wouldn't.
Yeah, but is it a little more gritty? Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah,
even without the language.
No, I don't, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think so. I wouldn't consider it gritty. Okay. No,
I was just guessing.
It feels like
I would say
what
Discovery seems to get that sometimes, a little darker, but you're more familiar with the Trek universe than I am, so correct me if I'm wrong there.
That would be you.
Yeah, well,
or
I
you,
Scott.
I don't know. Maybe you.
I mean,
maybe you
I think
live long
the
and
first
prosper.
part of Discovery goes more in like Battlestar. The first half of season 1 is more in a Battlestar way, and then they switched showrunners like 3 times through that series. So
you gotta love that.
So then you go back to more of the original series in the second half of season 2, and then they shifted again in their second half of season 1, and then they shifted again in season 2. But we're going into a lot of Star Trek here. Which I'm fine with.
let me listen. I'll add in one more for our new Buck Rogers podcast here. I watched the documentary today, Never Surrender, about Galaxy Quest.
Oh, nice.
How is that movie?
It's on Amazon Prime. It's really, really good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It just makes you want to. It's just really. It's like the movie itself. It's really good natured, and it has a lot to do with the fans, and so it tying in with the whole meta concept of the movie itself. You have this documentary that is very much intertwined with how fans react and interact with the movie. Right? It's really good. It's really, really good. Just makes you want to run out and watch Galaxy Quest again.
Yeah. I feel like the more time that goes by, the more smart that movie is, and the more people appreciate it, because I think at the time, like, that was such a new concept for that genre to be that meta and to be so self-aware and still like respected at the same time. I mean, it came out, I think, around that era of Scream. So, I mean, we're starting to see more meta stuff in entertainment, but I just feel like that movie, like, the more you look at it, the more you think, well, that was made like 5 years ago. And you're like, oh, wait, it was actually made 20 years ago, which is even crazier.
Yeah, no, there's one scene in the movie where they're talking with Brent Spiner, and he's talking about he and Patrick Stewart saw the movie Galaxy Quest, and then Brent Spiner does this amazing Patrick Stewart impression, but Patrick Stewart says, "This is the movie we should have made."
Oh my gosh.
Right? He was like blown away by it. He says, "This is what we should have done. We should have had ourselves playing the characters on the show, and then it becomes a Star Trek movie." And the more I thought about that, I thought, oh my God, he's right. Can you imagine if Star Trek if the Next Generation had taken this meta turn right out of the gate from the TV show? I mean, it wouldn't be Galaxy Quest, but it would still be like an incredibly cool concept.
Yeah, I'd totally watch it. What I think the great thing about, we see like Star Wars, I know I'm jumping right into this, like Star Wars fandom is like so toxic right now. And I don't see it, thankfully, at that level for Star Trek. And I think Star Trek fans tend to be more respectful. And the thing is that there are all different types of Star Trek fans. You can be a fan of just the original series, or a fan of DS9, or a fan of Voyager, or the movies, and like, and at least the people that I've interacted with, like, everybody's respectful of their other opinions. Like Derek's like, well, I really, like Discovery, and like, that's like, I'm happy for him that he liked it. I didn't enjoy it as much, but I'm glad that we have all kinds of different Star Trek. It's like my friend, didn't like Picard. I did. He wasn't, trying to convince me that it was terrible. And so that's our 20 minutes on Star Trek.
Yes. Thanks for joining us.
Our new spin-off.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk Trek for more than a couple hours. So, Scott, let's move over to you. What have you been up to? Have you been watching? I don't think you've been playing any games. I'm just gonna call you out. But what movies and TV shows?
You don't know that. I have my PS4 now that I got for Christmas.
If you got a PS4, did you really get one? Because if you did, and I didn't, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, no, I did.
Why haven't we been
my kids
playing?
Got me.
Yeah, why haven't we been playing Call of Duty Warzone then?
I have Crash Bandicoot. It's my favorite game.
But Warzone is free as long as you have an internet connection. We can have squads, and we could get killed very easily. But we could have our own Corpse Club, Daily Dead squad. So
I like this idea.
Or we could play Fortnite. I mean, everybody's playing Fortnite, but there's Call of Duty Warzone.
Friday the 13th?
we could do that. I literally just got that because I was trying to find, because I really want to, as we're jumping all over the place, but I haven't been on in a while. So, but I really wanted to keep up with a lot of our friends because there's no festivals, which is, obviously pretty sad for everyone, especially the filmmakers and the festival organizers. But we're used to going to things like, Overlook and Fantasia and whatnot. And, Christy and I will meet up with John and Kim from Nightmare on Film Street. And, I think one of the worst things about me being sick was I just couldn't do much. So, I really, kind of just had to, again, make sure I survived. Really, it could have been, life or death. So I really had to kind of just unplug and rest and stuff like that. And so as soon as I started feeling better, I started trying to reconnect with everybody. Long story short, I bought Friday the 13th because they play it. And so we're going to try to hop on there. But yeah, then you should get Friday the 13th, Scott. And Derek, if you don't have it, you should get it.
I do have it, actually. I just haven't really played it. Been playing other games recently, but yeah, I do want to get into that. I know if Charlie's listening, I also am long overdue to play Dead by Daylight, which I also have, but have not played. So I've got a long list.
Okay, so I feel like we should make this happen, though, especially because we're not going to see each other for a while.
Very true.
Yeah. So let's.
All right. I agree.
All right.
Let's do it.
We'll exchange information and set up a time and
I think this will be pretty easy. I think this will be pretty easy to make happen. So we'll figure it out. So then we can talk about it on Corpse Club. And then one of the things that we did do, one of the things that Scott and I did was we got together with some of the other Corpse Clubbers, and we did what did we do? I think we did three weekends, and then when Joe Bob came along, we temporarily stopped. We're going to find another day to do it, but we did Zoom meetups, and we do a double feature. And so, Brian, he had the great idea to do that. So we all got together, and even though I was sick, I kind of just mute between coughs and put on the movies. And it actually was really nice because I wasn't able to catch up with them. But we got Tamika on, and then Scott joined us. We had seen, I'm trying to think of everything we saw. We saw Demon Wind one night, and Slumber Party Massacre 2. We saw Creepshow. Creepshow 2. Yeah, we didn't see Creepshow. We did not. We saw Creepshow 2. And what was it? Oh, and Dead and Buried. Yeah. And then the last one, I don't remember what the first movie was you could put a gun to my head.
Killer Clowns.
That's it. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. But we ended on the highlight of the 6 movies. We saw Things.
That's right.
And man, I was prepared for it, but I was not prepared for it. Unlike Tamika, who was completely unprepared for it. She had mentioned, and Tamika's not able to join us now because she has real bad connection issues at her house where she's staying. And so we will get her back, though, as soon as possible. We're excited to have her back on the show. But we were able to have her connect from her phone. And so we were watching Demon Wind. We had watched it, and she said that was the worst movie she had seen. And so, Scott and Brian are like, you have no idea what's coming. And for whatever reason, I don't remember what it is. She doesn't have Amazon Prime. That's what this is. I'm trying to think of this. So we all had Amazon Prime so we could watch things, and she actually paid to rent it. And yeah, it was an experience. I'm glad we all saw it together because I think I would have tuned out or gone to check my phone. And I think really, if you want the badge of honor for sitting through Things, you have to do it just completely focused on the movie. And having seen, oh my God, so I have another meetup with my friend Rob, who I met from the Overlook Film Festival, and we had been watching movies every week or every other week, and he picked, I think it's called Love on a Leash, and it's about, well, first we had seen Velocipaster, which is interesting. He had Velocipaster, and then somebody he knew brought the director in ahead of time on Zoom, and so that was a surprise. And honestly, I had a lot of fun with the movie. I was surprised by how much fun I had with it, and it had a good soundtrack, which is also the reason why I think I could survive things. Going full circle on this, I think the soundtrack, but Love on a Leash, I believe, is what it's called, and it's about a woman that falls in love with a dog that's really like a were dog, and I don't want to go into anything else, but I would just say that I would see things again and again over seeing Love on a Leash again and again. So I thought I had seen like the movie that was like the most, like that had tested me the most when I saw Things, and then the next week I saw Love on a Leash. I was like, nope, I'll go back to Things. So
the more you watch Things, and you have to watch it more than once, the first time you watch it, there's kind of, you have like a natural resistance to it just because of what it is. The more you watch it, that resistance melts away, and you just become totally immersed in the most wild and inept attempt at horror cinema. That it's an experience. But you're right, it is also good to watch with a group. But I would say even better if that same group watched it again and then could, talk with each other instead of, giving the full focus to the movie.
Yeah, I would do it again. I'll go through that trauma. But yeah.
So I need to watch it on my own first and then watch it communally.
I mean, I would even sit with you because I want to see your reaction.
I like to watch people's reaction.
Yeah, which is why, because we were all on Zoom, so we could all see each other, even though we had it muted. We could all see each other, and so I would just scream at the camera or whatever. But yeah, what is it? 80 minutes, 90 minutes. So it's survivable. It surely is.
It's 90. It's a solid 90, I think. But within those 90 minutes, there are a couple stretches that feel like 90 minutes.
I was gonna say it goes by like 80 though. So, oh man, yeah.
It
so
feels like 80.
Yeah. So we did that. We're gonna do some more of that. But yeah, I definitely I think the community thing has really helped. And there's I've seen a lot of great things that the horror community, especially on Twitter, has done to kind of, reach out or be there for other people. 'Cause some people are home by themselves. And it's kind of different for everyone. So, I mean, I'm really lucky that, even though I was sick, that, Christy was there, our pup Logan's there. We're really lucky, and I know that there are people that are less fortunate, and so I think it's great that like I said, we have a strong horror community on Twitter, and people have done, whether it's script readings or charity drives or all kinds of stuff. I just think it's been great to see people kind of bring everybody together and have that outlet. I think especially it's been fun to see. Ted Gagan and Mike Gingold, they did their final exam trivia. They brought that online. And
I want to do that.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. They did one that's kind of going on now. I almost canceled on you guys to do it. I'm just saying, I'm like, can I cancel on them? I'm like, no, we got to get this episode out.
He hasn't seen us for 8 weeks, but he's like, what's one more?
I almost canceled the trivia on you guys. Well, we could move it an hour. But anyway, I didn't know how long it was going to go. And so anyway, long story short, I love you guys. And we've done the trivia. Christy and I have done 2 different trivia rounds, and it's a lot of fun. It's it doesn't require an app, but it is like an online application, and it's interesting in that it's quick fire questions. It's multiple choice, but you have to pick within 45 seconds or something like that, or 30 seconds. And as the timer goes down, you get less points, so you have to answer quickly. The first one was 100 questions. I think the second one was 75 or 60 or something like that. But it spans every decade. They come up with some great questions. They come up with some great answers to kind of throw you off. And they have another one. If you're listening to this on the day of release, they have it today. So they're doing Friday night. And then I think they do they replay it. So they'll do it again on on Saturdays and Sundays. I assume it's going to continue to be a weekly thing. So again, it's final exam trivia. Or I know Ted's talking about it on his Twitter, but I think it's been a great way to bring people together. Obviously, you know, they brought Joe Bob back. I think Shudder brought him back a little bit early because they had those episodes ready to go. And so I think that's been nice for horror fans to have, and just to, you know, feel like everybody's a little bit more together. And so we saw, it was Chopping Mall and Blood-Sucking Freaks, which I actually hadn't seen Blood-Sucking Freaks before. No. And I mean, again, it's one of those where like I needed to be a captive audience member. It's not my particular, you know, favorite type of movie, but to say it, what do you call it? But yeah, it was definitely an experience.
Yeah, it's not a here's the thing, it's just not a good movie. It's not that my sensibilities are you know, too delicate or something like that, or that I find what it's about offensive. It's how it's done. It's not a well-made movie, you know. And so I think to do that kind of material, you would need a filmmaker, you know, who would be able to actually insert some, you know, strong social message in it while still, you know, being entertaining. And this is just not that movie.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, you know, maybe I'll see it again, but like that was kind of a one and done movie for me. But, you know, like I said, it adds to my horror IQ, so, you know, I can say I saw it.
Yeah, it's no Things, though.
No, I would see Things again. Yeah, I would see Things again. Yeah, so anyway, so there's been that. So you guys, you know, definitely you should join up for trivia. I think it's tomorrow. So you just have to sign on. Like, it opens up like an hour or two ahead of time. I think he has 400 slots, so you should be good. But yeah, you should do it.
Sweet.
That sounds like a really good time.
Yeah. And then yesterday, Aaron Sagers, who we haven't had a lot on Daily Dead, but I've done a lot of things with him in terms of he's hosted like zombie panels that I've been on, or we've been on zombie panels before. Like back when Walking Dead was like huge, like we were on a lot of zombie panels. So we were always running into each other at like Comic-Con and places like that. So he had like charity trivia. He's doing a marathon in New York City to support an organization out there. So we did trivia, and it was different because he hosted it over Zoom, and you use the raise hand feature, which I didn't know how you would use it, but that's how he did it. So like he asks a question, and then the first person to raise their hand, it ends up on the top of the list, and then that's who had to answer. And if you got it wrong, it went on to the next person. Every right question, you get a point. So like it was fun. So so they both have their pros and cons. So like now that I've tried both of those trivia methods, I'm having fun because I don't get to do a lot of trivia. I'm in Western New York, kind of by Niagara Falls and Buffalo. So like I always like missed out on a lot of the Dead Right trivia in LA. And I did do trivia. What do you call it? I did do trivia for Overlook, so I was happy with that, especially because I was with Phil from Fangoria, and I was with Brian Collins, and we didn't lose. I don't think we got a question wrong. So
I don't think you could with that team.
No. So yeah, we did pretty good. So that one was fun because we got to clean up, and that was my first trivia there. So I was okay. I contributed, and I was happy with that. But I want to do more trivia, and I don't get opportunities to. So, and you know what? And the good thing about that is that, you know, it's open to everybody. So, you know, just like I said, as a heads up, I know I'm promoting it, but also it's, you know, it's fun for everybody. So people can listen to this now. And, you know, if you're at home and, you know, either running out of things to do, or you want to, you know, join in on the fun, you know, just like I said, look for Final Exam Trivia on Twitter, and you can play with us on every Friday.
I have never done a horror trivia. Not once, so I'm quite excited about this.
So yeah, that'll be fun. So we have some things to do. We got some Friday the 13th. We have some trivia. We got to get back to the movies. I think since I've started feeling better, I've been more active. Like every day I've had a little something to do. So I think that's helped keep me a little bit sane. But yeah. I'm trying to think of what else is what else have we been up to. A lot of TV. So I had mentioned that What We Do in the Shadows is running. Are you?
Oh yes, season 2.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. So
Derek
far.
hasn't seen any of it, so I can't spoil anything. But,
I'm ruining it.
It's such a great series, and I just ran an interview with Harvey, who plays Guillermo, and it's and he's great, and it's I think the amazing thing about that show, and I mentioned it in the interview, is just how it's as good as the movie. And then I also think it's so great that they decided to just really lean into his character, because he could have been supporting, and now you could make an argument that he's the lead.
Sure.
And so that's been good to have back. And I caught up on Castlevania. I don't know if you guys are watching Castlevania, but season 3 came out.
I've seen the first season and I really liked it, and never saw season 2, but I keep hearing that each season gets better and better.
It's fun. It's short, and especially if you played the video games, it's definitely worth watching. And you guys both should stop what you're doing if you haven't seen this and watch Watchmen. I finally got through it. The Watchmen TV show is excellent.
That's another one I heard amazing things about.
But speaking of Castlevania, the other day on, I think it's both on Amazon and Tubi, but The Trail of Dracula, the Severin Films hour-long documentary.
I did see that back when they first released it. I don't remember when it was.
Oh, did you?
A while back, yeah.
Yeah, I'd never seen it before. Oh, I loved it. I thought it was really good. I mean, I'm not as versed in Dracula as a lot of people, so I thought it was very interesting how they start right. They put forth what seems to me the most logical version of how we ended up with the Dracula, that we have. That it was a little bit of the from the play, a little bit of this and a little bit of Stoker, and we end up on the screen with, eventually with Bela Lugosi. And that's kind of, the template going forward that they went with Dracula. But so it's a really, for those who haven't seen it, it's a great documentary of tracing Dracula, from his roots, including, the stuff about Vlad, the Impaler, of course. And from there, through Universal, through Hammer, to the modern day. I just thought it was really well done.
Nice. Yeah, it's one of those too. There's so many different versions of that character that there's a lot of history to dive into.
Yeah, I will. Oh, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I've been kind of on this documentary kick too, and Tubi has a lot of interesting ones as well. I watched That Guy Dick Miller.
Oh, cool. I want to see that one.
Yeah, it's really good. Like a lot of interviews with him, I guess, pretty close to when he died, him and his wife. Lots of industry people, tons of clips. It's just a really warm-hearted, salute to him. It's really good.
That is awesome how they were able to actually do that and interview him too when he was still alive, because if you think, it's one of those faces where I didn't even realize how much he was in stuff until, after X amount of movies, you're like, oh my gosh, he's in almost everything.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And the great thing is for your generation, you discovered him the same way we did, but our movies were different. But he's been working for so long, in my childhood is when I first saw him, right? Like the first movie I saw him in was probably, Piranha when I was 8.
And mine was probably Small Soldiers as the delivery man.
There you go. right? And so he had such an amazingly long career that it covered, both of our generations grew up on him in whole different movies, right?
That's true versatility there, or longevity. That's
so that's another doc that I would greatly recommend for horror folks and just movie lovers in general.
Nice. And is that on Tubi TV?
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, there's so many good documentaries now that I need to watch. And it feels like, especially with horror, we've just seen more and more like niche documentaries come out. Like I watched Memory. I think we talked about it on a previous episode. I watched Memory, The Origin of Alien on an airplane, which maybe wasn't the greatest idea for the people behind me. But yeah, it's amazing how much detail you can go into, even on just like one specific moment in one specific horror movie or type of horror movie. It's endless.
When you were talking about, you go ahead, Derek.
Oh no, I was just saying, I haven't been watching as much, but I've been playing a lot of video games. I know I said I haven't played like Friday the 13th or Dead by Daylight yet, but my dad and I went back and finished the first Doom, or not the first Doom, but 2016's Doom. And for whatever reason, we had stopped playing in 2017 and picked up our game. And we were almost done, but man, we spent like a whole day on the final boss, which I believe is like a brain creature. So that was nice to finally put a nail in that coffin. But it was a tough day, but that was a lot of fun. And we played finished the main campaign on Diablo 3, which was really cool. I grew up watching my dad play the first Diablo on the computer in the 90s. So it was kind of cool to like play that with him, kind of in like the same spot where I used to watch him play it. So that was a lot of fun.
And you guys got Diablo 4 coming up pretty soon. I mean, I don't remember the release date, but it's not this year. I think we're going to get it next year. But it's a little darker. I think it's going back more to its roots, because one of the initial complaints when Diablo 3 came out was that it was a little more generic fantasy in terms of like the art style, whereas Diablo 2 is pretty firmly rooted in like dark gothic and horror. Excuse me. But yeah, it's so you'll be able to kind of follow that up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's probably like 2021. I know it might get pushed out, as a lot of things are these days, but I'm excited for that. And I had a character named Deadstress, and we I got to slay a lot of zombies on that. So that's been cool. And then the game I've been playing the most, I guess before I switch over to non-horror, another horror game I finally got around to playing was Until Dawn. And it's something I've been kind of playing a few chapters here and there. So I actually haven't finished my campaign. I kind of need to take like an afternoon and actually finish it. But I'm like 6 chapters into it. And you were not kidding. That was a lot of fun. Yeah,
it's I can't wait to talk to you about it. I don't want to spoil it for anyone. Every time we talk about Until Dawn, I say it's worth buying a PlayStation just for that. And because it's one of the best horror games ever made. And Glass Eye Pix also helped out with it. So, it's really, really good. We're gonna have to talk about it.
And for sure.
And now that I know you have a PS4, you should play Until Dawn.
All right.
I'm
all over it.
It really is one of the best horror experiences I've had across any system.
I still have some Crash Bandicoot campaigns, as you guys say, that I have to finish first.
Do you have the is it the remastered trilogy, Scott?
Yep.
Nice. I remember playing those on PlayStation 1. I do want to get the remastered version just to like play through it with better graphics.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Some of those levels are really tough too. I'm not
telling
kidding.
you, it's hard stuff, man.
I mean, some of these things really are. I will say that, we've been getting, I'll jump back and forth because that's what I've been doing this whole episode. So I did get Christy because she had her birthday not too long ago, so I did get her a Switch, and I figured it was something that we could, play together. So we've been playing through Luigi's Mansion, and I'm glad we're doing it in co-op because Luigi's Mansion it's been a lot of fun, but also, like I said, a little challenging playing it just one player. So for anybody who doesn't know, you're Luigi from Mario Brothers, and you're in a mansion that's haunted. And you have like a vacuum cleaner basically, and you have to suck up the ghosts and everything else in the hotel. And it's been a lot of fun. And then you can play co-op so that like after you get through like the first 30 minutes or an hour, you can play co-op where one person's Luigi and somebody else is Gooigi, which is basically like a gooey green jello version of Luigi. And so we had fun with that. But I was thinking about, because I had Doom Eternal, and I tried that out a little bit, and that is punishing, and I've heard people mention it online, but like that is like I had to stop playing because it was one of the first games I tried playing as I was like still a little sick, and like my heart was racing too much, and I was like, I don't want to die playing Doom Eternal. So
see, this is why I like to play golf on the PlayStation because I can take a shot. I go to the bathroom. I can go get a beverage. I can make a sandwich. I play when I want to play. If I was playing the kind of games that you guys mostly like to play, and I couldn't move from where I was for like hours at a time straight, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I have that fortitude anymore.
You can do Friday the 13th in like 20-minute games, so we totally can do this. 20 minutes, take a break.
Oh,
20 minutes, take a break. So
it's set up with like different breathers.
Yeah, there you go.
That's good.
And then
I've been.
Oh, you go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was just saying I've been playing a lot of. Speaking of intense gameplay, I've been playing a lot of Star Wars Battlefront 2 online because my cousin Gunnar, who is a Corpse Club listener, hey Gunnar. We've been like kind of doing like messenger videos and then playing that, and I've been dying a lot, but slowly starting to get better. But yeah, so that's been cool too. It is challenging though, because I think that game's been out for a few years and some people are like level 900 and I'm just getting started. So it's also very punishing.
I really liked the first game, but I want to find a good multiplayer shooter, and I'm being very careful in how I phrase this because I've been playing shooters for a long time. And so my appetite is not really for the battle royale games as much as like I played Fortnite. So it's not that I can't play Fortnite. It's just that I'm looking for something more like old school, like Halo 3. I'm looking for like a good shooter where you have like tanks and all kinds, like where you're fighting on multiple fronts. I don't really think there's a game right now, but Battlefront 2 is pretty close because obviously you can fight on different fronts, but it just doesn't seem to have the same balance as it kind of had with like Halo 2 and 3. I decided when I first got sick that the best way to make me feel good throughout this entire crazy pandemic is that I would play Days Gone, which is the zombie game, and it did not help. And this is why I said, like, I'm talking about, like, for horror comfort food, that was not it. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to save these people and be in the zombie pandemic. I'm like, no. And also the game was okay. Like, you basically play as like a Daryl Dixon character. It's basically The Walking Dead. But it didn't really have, and I didn't finish the game, so, if anybody's listening who made it, maybe it's there down the line, but there were really no moral choices. Like, you could save, like, one group or the next, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like life or death situations. It wasn't like the stuff we'd see in Romero. There wasn't a lot of social commentary. So I was, like, kind of, like, bummed out. It's kind of like the same thing we got with Dead Island, where like Dead Island had that super emotional trailer.
That was such a good trailer.
But then the game was not that. Even though Dead Island was fun, the game did not have really a lot of those choices. So I think that both those games kind of missed out on that. So I did not finish that. So right now it's Christy and I are switching it. So it's Luigi's Mansion or it's Mario Kart.
Well, I do have I do have a zombie film that I think does give the viewer the opposite of what you said those games gave to you, and that's Little Monsters, which is on Amazon Prime now.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, with Lupita Nyong'o, and Josh Gad is in it as well. It's an Australian film. She's a teacher for a group of little kids, and they do an excursion to a animal farm, like a petting zoo. And while they're there, a nearby military facility, who of course has, the zombie serum, the zombies break out and they head towards the petting zoo where all the children, and Josh Gad plays a world famous kids entertainer who is not as friendly once the cameras are off, and they have to defend themselves against this zombie attack. It's so nothing really new under the sun in terms of concept, but it's all in the execution. It's very funny. It's very disarming. It's very sweet. The effects are good. And Lupita is luminous in it. And Josh Gad, I'm not a big Josh Gad fan. I actually like him in this because he plays a shitheel to great comic effect. So Little Monsters is a great zombie pick-me-up. If that's what you're looking for, I would highly recommend that one.
And that's a Hulu exclusive, right? If I'm not mistaken.
At least in the US it is. Yeah. Because we actually almost had that as I was going to have that as my pick this week for our Tuesday movie, but then Zach, he doesn't have Hulu anymore, so we switched it up. But it is it is on Hulu, at least in the States.
Yeah, in Canada it's on Amazon Prime. Now the funny thing is the same day that Little Monsters went on Amazon Prime, Zombieland 2 did as well.
Oh, nice.
Now I only saw about the first 15 minutes of Zombieland 2, and then something came up and I never got back to it. But when I clicked on it a couple days ago, when you click on it, it takes you to their to Prime's. They have this new pay zone where you watch the movies that aren't quite ready for Prime, but are out of the theaters, kind of thing, right?
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah. So I still haven't seen the rest of Zombieland 2 because they swiped it from the freebies and put it in the pay ones. So, but Little Monsters is really great.
Not to be confused with the Fred Savage, Howie Mandel Little Monsters.
No, which I only saw it once, but I recall it being not great.
I saw it when I was a little monster in grade school, high school. I don't know. I saw it in a school. I watched it at school.
You watched it in school?
Yeah. We had, maybe this wasn't a thing for you when you were in school, but when I was, like, teachers didn't really want to teach you. And so they constantly would just have, like, movie time. And so the history teacher would show Gandhi. And if your class was only, 45 minutes between the time they introed it, and sometimes they would forget where they started, and the class would say, we started at 20 minutes in instead of 40. It could take the whole week. And so, Gandhi would take the whole week, and then you'd go to another class, and then it would be, another movie, and then you'd have some teachers who really just wanted to show movies they liked, and then you'd get Little Monsters or Christmas Story. And I did a cinema club as well, so I ended up watching a lot of movies in school, and cinema club was great. I wouldn't be here doing Corpse Club and Daily Dead. I almost said I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Cinema Club, but I would be alive. Like, they didn't stop me from dying at any moment.
It's a little extra, John.
I know, right? But I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if it wasn't for Mr. Riopolis at Cinema Club. And so
we did movies. We would watch movies in school too, but it was almost always Remember the Titans for whatever reason. It was that universally was the movie, which I love that movie. It was just funny, like how that was always the movie. So I can script read that one front to back pretty good.
But that's about high school football, isn't it? Remember
that
the
is
Titans?
true. So I guess it does make sense.
And Minnesota is probably, I'm assuming, is pretty big with high school football.
Oh yeah, we do like our high school football.
Well, there you go.
Okay, so it's all coming together now.
Yeah, but I didn't think about it until now. But we did see an incredible amount of movies in school. Anyway, so that was my education.
In a nutshell, there you go.
Real to real.
Exactly. There
and
it
here
is.
you are now.
And here I am today. But yeah, yes. There's, again, if we've been talking about everything, and hopefully Corpse Club listeners are like, yeah, we like hearing about things that are not horror for most of the episode. Because we made it through, I said we did Watchmen. We're making it through over Zoom Westworld, which is, we cover Westworld on Daily Dead. So this works. So I don't know if you guys are caught up on Westworld. Westworld is one of those things where I try to figure out where the story's going or the characters or like kind of what their emotional journey is going to be. With Westworld, I just strapped in and I'm just there for the ride. Like, I have no idea where they're taking it. It could be anything because their reveals are not obvious. Their reveals are nothing that kind of tie directly back to something that you've seen before. So it's always like, here's this technology that you never knew existed, or here's this world that you never knew existed, and now we're going to plug this into what you are watching. So that's not bad. It's just different. So I'm kind of just like, okay, like I'm not going to judge this like until it's done. Like, just take me on this ride. So we have one more episode to go in season 3. They just announced season 4, which I'm glad because I thought if season 3 was going to be it, I'm like, I don't know how they're going to wrap it up. But I have been enjoying that.
Nice.
I've never seen, I think I saw the first episode of the first season on Westworld, but man, I love the movie. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, and they took a big there's like a big change this season. I haven't watched it, but I'm like you said, we covered on Daily Dead, and I'm pretty familiar with like the latest marketing for it and everything. But yeah, it looks like this season was kind of polarizing in a way because of it's just like it seems almost like a new show.
It's basically, it feels like a new show. And they introduced some brand new characters, and it doesn't take place in Westworld. So it's like the name of the show has nothing to do with the show anymore. I figure they're going to get us back to Westworld, but we are not anywhere near Westworld for this entire season. So
is it in Roman world or perhaps future world?
I mean, it depends on how much you want me to tell you, Scott.
I'm probably never going to watch it. So
okay, then very quick spoiler warning. If somebody cares about it or doesn't know about it, then jump off for the next 60 seconds.
Or you could just tell me off air.
No, we're just going now.
All right.
So they leave Westworld and they're in the real world, or at least we think they're in the real world. So that's where it is right now. So it's robots in the real world
in disguise.
Oh, well, you're gonna have to watch, but that's where it is now. So they have left the park. It's kind of like what Jurassic Park is doing now. I didn't think about that, but it's basically the same thing.
I've actually seen quite a bit of robot cartoons, such classics as Dinobots and Little Bobby Robot and Bobby Bendover Robot, and anything to do with robots I've been forced to watch. because of my grandchildren. So I've seen a lot of robot carnage, let me tell you.
So it's beyond the Transformers original movie.
Yeah.
We're talking decades of robot carnage.
Yeah. No, Dinobots, he's Noah's quite fond of the Dinobots. So
good taste.
Yeah.
What you really need, then when they get a little bit older, you watch Beast Wars from the 90s and early 2000s. That show, that I'll rewatch that right now. That I have some good memories, and also being a little traumatized because things got really real on that show.
I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah. See, we can only watch adult films or TV shows between the hours of 1 and 4 when it's nap time, and after 9 p.m.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Any other time of the day, it's Paw Patrol and PJ Masks, and Charlie and the Color Fast, Rainbow and Donkey's Balls, and all these kid shows. Well,
I mean, it helps balance things out, right? I mean, you wouldn't want to watch your favorite horror movies 24/7.
No, I would. Yeah, no, I could do that.
I mean, that was what I was hinting at. But
yeah,
I'm trying to make you feel better.
No. Not that delusional. Come on.
Yeah.
You're not falling for that one?
No.
Yeah, and we've been playing a lot of board games too, which has been fun. Nothing. I still have Betrayal at House on the Hill. I always see the problem with these any horror title with house and hill in it, I am almost guaranteed to butcher because I'm like Haunting of Hill House. The
same.
What's the Hammer one? I'm trying to think of House on Haunted Hill. And then you've got
William Castle.
Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Yeah. It's like, and the thing is, when they first announced the Haunting of Hill House, I quick read it as House on Haunted Hill TV series. I'm like, yeah, oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, and then, I did too.
And then no. But I mean, Haunting in Hill House is like one of my favorite releases like in a while. So, I mean, I love it. I really do love it.
There's the trail on the hill that leads to the house,
Yeah. But I do want Mike Flanagan now to do a House on Haunted Hill. But yeah, you go.
Well, we haven't played it yet, but my dad and I spent like a whole night just reading the directions, and it sounds really awesome. I feel like it's gonna be one of those games where, like, you gotta kind of set aside the whole evening, especially for the first run through.
How complicated is it that it takes the whole night to read the directions?
Yeah, some of these games get really, really in depth.
It's like one of those things. There's like 50 different like story modes that you can play, and then because it's like a betrayal version, at some point in the game, one person becomes a traitor, and then they have to leave the room and read their own directions for their new mission, and then they come back into the room, and you don't know what their mission is, except that they're like trying to kill you. And so so there's a lot of layers there. So yeah, it's gonna be like we're gonna have to quarantine the person who becomes the bad guy in it or whatever. But I'm excited to play it. It definitely will be an adventure. But we've been it might have been a little too on the nose, but we played Pandemic for the first time, so I've played a few run throughs on that.
I mean, it's a good board game, but yeah,
it is. And
I don't know if I can play that.
I was going to say same
Pandemic.
Thing. Yeah,
right
same
now.
thing. I was like,
a little on the nose.
It's a little too real, but it's funny too.
Yeah.
The creators of that game are like, the company's from Minnesota. So actually, like, they say if you have questions, and the address is literally just like 25 minutes away. So I feel like we could go and just kind of. I don't know if we needed help, but they're not far away. But there's like a Cthulhu version of that game too, which I think would be pretty cool.
We have it. We haven't played it yet.
Okay, I was wondering how that is. I think that'd be really, really awesome. And then, but yeah, some other non-horror games like Ticket to Ride I've been playing for the first time. Love that game. And yeah, just some puzzles and things like that. But definitely, I want to play some more 13 Dead End Drive, which is like one of my favorite games of the last I guess few years that I've played. That's new to me, at least, even though it's been out for a while, just because it feels like a reverse Clue kind of almost like where you're just trying to, like everyone's just trying to kill each other, which is, yeah, it just seems like a fun game right now. So, but yeah, I think it's it's been fun to do like a mixture of TV shows and movies, and I've been reading a little bit more too. I'm actually reading Dr. Sleep. I kind of took a break when the movie came out, and now I'm coming back and reading it some more, trying to finish that one. So
it's a good book. I mean, especially because of how it differs from the movie. I really do want to go back and watch. I haven't seen the director's cut.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I do want to see it.
There's a lot of extra content in that too.
I think it's like 20 or 30 minutes. So I do definitely want to see that. I will. So what I've been doing is, I think one of the tough things and it's weird. And I guess I definitely want to talk about that, right? It's even weird kind of doing Corpse Club or, doing Daily Dead when we're in the middle of a pandemic. And, but I think at the same time, this kind of stuff helps keep us sane. For me, keeping busy or, watching a fantasy movie or fantastical movie, whether it be horror or sci-fi or something like that, that kind of takes away a little bit from the craziness. We get this, news overload. We worry about our family. I definitely worry about my parents, and they've been staying in, thankfully, and we've been talking. They've been, quarantined themselves at their house. And my grandparents in Chicago as well. But I've been waiting for some of these things because I want to watch Dr. Sleep with them. I have them come over. But we haven't had a chance to. So we've been doing some Zoom stuff, but definitely, like I said, it is weird because there's, some of these things we want to do, like, play board games and stuff. And you are really, really lucky, Derek, is that, you got your family with you. And I know I'm lucky too, like I said, because I got, Christy, but, it's, like I said, it's just a little crazy thinking about, how much this is affecting all kinds of different people in different ways. I think with that, as I'm looking at it, we could talk about all of this stuff for hours. So I think we're going to part 2 this, nice. And we're going to stop it here. We're going to stop it at this being our quarantine catch up. I don't know if that's what we're going to call it. We didn't talk about an episode
that
idea,
is catchy, though.
Maybe we'll call it that. It'll be a different episode title by the time it's released, but maybe we'll go with that. But anyway, I thought it was important to do this one because, we have a lot of listeners and I know that they're going through, some tough times. Some things, are better than what we're going through. And I'm very happy for you. And some people are going through worse stuff. And, and so if this, listening to Corpse Club helps you out, then I'm happy. And if reading Daily Dead helps you out, then I'm happy as well. There's, we're all kind of in this and together and we're connected, even though we're all apart. And I think that, there's a lot of uncertainty there. And I think it even comes, with Daily Dead, I'll be honest, we don't know exactly what's going to happen 6 months from now. The economy is different, and we don't know, festivals are closing down. I do know that we're going to continue, doing Corpse Club. I have fun doing it. I have fun getting together with you guys. Like I said, I was sad that we couldn't do it over the last 6 or 7 weeks. I was like, I just want to talk. I want to do that Stuart Gordon tribute, and I was just too sick to do it. And it's the same thing with Daily Dead. We're going to, things slow down a little bit, but we're going to continue to talk about what we're passionate about. And we're just taking that stuff day by day. But like I said, we'll definitely be here for our readers and listeners, and we're thankful for everybody. We're thankful for our Corpse Club members. We're thankful for our listeners who share or talk about us on social media, and our readers. And like I said, it's a little bit different because we always end by saying, hey, sign up for a Corpse Club membership. And I don't even think in this world it doesn't make sense. Don't spend your money on a Corpse Club membership when you need to buy food or when there's other organizations that could use it. So what I will say is, what's the date? It's right now. It's we'll say it's May 1st by the time this episode comes out. So if you donated any money to a charity to support people who are in trouble due to the coronavirus, send me a screenshot. Feel free to blank out anything at contact@corpseclub.com. If you donate anytime over the next 60 days, let me know, and I will give you a Corpse Club membership for the next 60 days.
Wow.
So
Nice.
that's how we'll, like I said, try to help out a little bit. I know everybody's kind of doing their part. And I encourage you to. There's organizations that you can donate to. There's local organizations that you can read up on. There's people helping out through GoFundMe. I've seen some people who are helping 3D print plastic face masks or face shields to help the workers out. There's a lot of people that need help out there. So I will say that we don't need it, but we're happy to to kind of spread the word and to say there are people that need help. And so if you, like I said, just message us a screenshot and we'll give you we'll give you, like I said, 60-day membership. And if you do have a membership and you've donated, I want to give you something as well. We have some swag. So if you do have a membership and you're like, hey, what about me? If you donated or you do donate, again, email us and we got some swag around here. We could send something your way. And with that, like I said, you can always reach out on Twitter. We're at Daily Dead News. We're at Corpse Club. We're on Instagram and Facebook under Corpse Club. We're a little more active under Twitter, so if you reach out, we're more likely to get you over there. If you email contact@corpseclub.com, you can reach me all the time. And so anyway, thank you very much. Thanks, Derek and Scott, for joining me. I'm glad to be back here. We have some cool things coming up. We have in May, we're going to do another catch up like this. Maybe we'll report back on some Friday the 13th if I can wrangle you guys in. And Brian has some crazy idea for a series that we're going to be kicking off very soon. We're going to be raising a little hell. That might be a hint. And so him and I are gonna be doing some fun stuff, depending on if you like this movie franchise and how much you like it. So anyway, so a little hint there as to what's coming up. And with that, thanks again for listening. I hope you stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and stay scary.